It ticks so loud at night that it keeps me awake, and it reminds me how fast I'm getting old. It's called Rise and Fall. I often watch the sunrise on a muted earth where people sleep, and no one sees the hour hand stray slowly from the place they left it when they close their eyes. I stare at metal clouds along a Midwest silhouette, a horizon line dividing rise and fall by east and west, and while it seems ethereal, it makes me feel awake. Then alarm clocks scream, "Good morning, you're older," to a paranoid existence that regrets each second stolen by a selfish and relentless clock that no one is controlling. And they possess these instruments to calculate your deaths through means of watches, dials, and calendars, and numbers. But the earth will spin regardless of the measurements they take. So every time the sun escapes my sight, I wait for morning and refuse to lose a single moment hiding in a dream, as it is the purveyor of the nights and days of whites and grays, and light and pitch, and it is despite of this, impermanent and aged, and one day will not rise to shower us in golden rays. Etched into cognition is the promise that we die, no matter how we choose to estimate or quantify. So I will stare at splattered stars or watch the flow of freeway cars coalesce into the arms of bittersweet mortality. While they may live in panic, I'm content with growing old, because the minutes spent in innocence were worth the rise and fall. This one is called The Positivist. Hands clasped, we walk along the train tracks. Our minds are sharp like shards of glass. You said my hand feels cold, so I move in a little closer. You're looking at the nature all around us, at the trees, the leaves, the grass, the butterflies and bluebirds, and the sky you said was blue. But I can't help notice the cracks in the crossties, the inconsistent sizes of the gravel on the tracks, while the dents in the metal are the rust on the sides, and it bugs me how some of the planks are oak, while others are elm. You don't mind, though, as you smile at white lilacs and cry at the sight of a small dead raccoon. You laugh to yourself at the cool spring breeze, and you said, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" To which I replied, "No, it is not. There's a screw loose on the railing." We both know there's a derailed train not far ahead of us. You can smell the sulfur and see the smoke in the air, but I can see the gradual deterioration of the train tracks. As the gravel scatters, the crossties snap and the rails bend in random whimsical chaos. You are crying. Your hand must be cold too? No, it is not. I said, if this plank were placed slightly more to the left, and the larger rock could have been slightly smaller than the ones beside it, and perhaps if that dent on the rail were slightly less indented, maybe this event could have been prevented. In tears, you fall to your knees beside me, clutching the ground. You tear apart your train tracks and dig yourself a grave beside your own miscalculations. This one is called The Wayfarer. I'm walking on a barren path, a narrow one-lane road, and I have been on this road forever as history comes and history goes. From this desert road I've witnessed the rise and fall of kings, the sad collapse of castles and the voices of philanthropy. I've heard the clangs of swords that clash, the cries of war at hand. I've seen the missiles tear through space and time, staining shadows in the sky, but I've never crossed another road nor seen the clockwork eyes of men. Other roads I've heard have lights of red and signs of green with words that paint directions on a canvas of winding highways. And other roads have tributaries that taper off to homes and neighborhoods of people joined together with a cause. These interwoven cities with their totem poles and towers break the glass of silence with iconoclastic noise. But my road is that of static dreams and stars that do not shine, but rather loom above like dreadnought strings, a tragic puppetry. And my road is that of wilted flowers sprouting in my wake, and calliopes are droning in the cemetery hills. Could this be death or heaven, hell, illusion or reality? Am I here to learn, destroy, create, or something more? Was this road constructed by skeletons or man? Should I walk forever, or in fact, should I explore? And if indeed a man like me had built this road and sky, was he as lonely a person as to be like marigolds who glimmered in the sun. We were vibrant, rich with morning light, innocent and young. And we danced without discretion because we lived so we could love. We turned into a pair of roses, trapped in a bouquet. And we traveled through the hands of lovers happier than we. And we wilted in the winter, only lived so we could breathe. Now we are like fireflies who wither in the day, whose wings grow weak with burden, left bereft of things to say. And we dance in our depression because we live to fade away. We are like fireflies, dead by sunrise. This next one is another song or poem learning about time. I am staring down the throat of God as if there were no in-between. My future underwater was a painting made by Claude Monet. 1,000 pitches screeching in my ear through copper radios. They called it gospel music. Too much headache, too much pain. As if the feet of passerby were amplified 1,000 times, their linear directions blur together as my ego dies. I must be a glitch inside a system made of golden cities, benches made for resting, are my final resting place. Somewhere in between the place I'm from and where I'm going, there are wire trees and anesthesia, and it is snowing. There is no bleak dividing line between the earth and sky. There is no room for innocence, just scathing winds and dissonance. So time must be the hand that winds up dolls and sends them on their way. Nowhere in particular, just sets them into place. So they walk as incomplete creations, irresolute and meaningless, until they run into a wall or slowly stop unwinding.